Some people light up more when they're handed a tiny plant cutting than when they get something expensive. They'll spend their Saturday morning repotting, wiping dusty leaves, checking sunlight near the window. Then somehow they feel calmer, lighter, more like themselves. If you've ever wondered why that happens, it isn't just a hobby. From a Jungian perspective, the love of plants can be a quiet psychological signal, something deep moving under the surface. When we fall in love with plants, we're often reconnecting with life in its purest form. A plant isn't racing the clock. It isn't anxious about messages, deadlines, or what anyone thinks. It grows, it adapts, it changes with the seasons. And some people feel that rhythm in their chest, an almost wordless recognition. People who truly love plants are often the more observant type, not the loudest voice in the room. They don't need to fill every silence. They tend to notice patterns, details, shifts in mood, things others miss, and plants match that temperament perfectly, because nothing about growing is instant. You can't yank a plant taller. You can't demand a bloom on command. You have to respect its timing. Jung talked constantly about symbols. To him, the psyche speaks in symbols more than it speaks in neat, logical sentences. And a plant is a powerful symbol of inner transformation. When you watch a seed become a stem become a tree, you're watching a living metaphor for your own potential to grow. That's why it moves people more than they expect. It's the psyche recognizing itself. At its core, loving plants is loving the possibility of becoming, slowly, steadily, with roots that hold even when nobody is watching. It's about trusting the process. It's about quiet change that happens day by day until, one day, you realize you're not the same person you used to be. There's a line Jung repeated in different ways, but the idea lands like a bell. Everything that attracts you out there is showing you something about yourself. So when you choose to care for a plant, sometimes without even knowing why, you may also be caring for a small piece of your own inner life. Think about what plant care actually is: watering consistently, trimming dead leaves, rotating the pot so it grows evenly, repotting when it outgrows its container. That's attention. That's presence. And how often do people forget to be present in their own lives? A plant won't let you live on autopilot. Ignore it, and it wilts. Overdo it, and you drown it. Too much sun, it scorches. Too little, it weakens. It's balance in living form. And many plant lovers are searching for exactly that. Emotional balance. They may not say it out loud, but something in them knows. Real care is small and steady. You can't water once a month and expect everything to thrive. You show up daily, even briefly, with patience. And here's the part that humbles you in the best way. You can do everything right and still not control everything. You can provide good soil, the right light, water in the proper amount. But the growth belongs to the plant. You don't command it, you accompany it. You pay attention, you adjust, you hope, you trust. That can feel deeply liberating in a culture that pressures people to control everything, optimize everything, produce immediate results, and prove they're doing enough. A plant quietly tells you, calm down. Life has its own rhythm, and people who love plants often hear that message in a place deeper than thought. In that sense, Plants can feel like therapy without the office. Plant people often love silence too, and it's not an accident. Jung believed that in silence we can hear the unconscious. In the quiet, the psyche speaks. Plants don't make noise, but they teach relentlessly. They teach you how to observe without rushing, how to wait without panic, how to respect timing, your own and other people's. And that's almost revolutionary now, isn't it? We live in a loud world, constant notifications, constant commentary, constant pressure. Then someone comes home, waters their plants, inhales, and their nervous system finally unclenches. It looks small from the outside, but inside, it can be the moment they come back to themselves. People who love plants are often tired of the noise. Not because they hate people, not because they're antisocial. They simply need a pocket of peace to stay sane. Plants offer that. A space of active silence where something meaningful happens without words. Have you noticed how satisfying it is to just watch new growth? To put your hands in potting mix, feel the texture, smell the earth? That's meditation. That's regulation. That's healing in slow motion. Jung believed we need moments like that to integrate what's happening inside us. Thoughts, feelings, memories, contradictions. Plants create a perfect setting for that kind of integration. They ask for one thing above all: presence. And presence, these days, is rare and precious. Jung also introduced the idea of the collective unconscious, the shared layer of the psyche that carries ancient patterns and inherited memory. Whether you take it literally or symbolically, it points to something many people feel. Nature lives inside us. Long before highways, office buildings, and Wi-Fi, human life was woven into the land. People planted, harvested, watched weather, depended on seasons. That relationship didn't vanish when modern life arrived. It went underground. It became instinct, longing, a wordless pull. So when someone puts their hands in soil and feels a strange comfort, almost like a small click inside, that can be recognition. Something deep saying, "I remember this." Plant lovers often feel that strongly. They don't always need a logical explanation. They just know that around plants, they feel more real, more whole, more grounded. Jung might call that a return to an inner home. Not a physical house, but the inner place where you remember who you are. Plants can become bridges back to that place. They remind you where you came from and what matters when everything else is shouting for your attention. In a world that pushes you to be fast, efficient, and constantly on, a plant pulls you back to the essential. Grow roots, bloom in the right season. Accept that some things cannot be rushed, and that, honestly, is wisdom. Here's a secret many people don't say out loud. Those who love plants often feel a lot. Not as a performance, not as being dramatic. They simply have a sensitive emotional antenna. They pick up tension in a room. They notice when someone's energy shifts. They absorb atmospheres, heavy ones included, and that can be exhausting. That's why some plant lovers sometimes prefer the company of plants to the company of people. Not because they dislike people, but because they need a safe place to recover. Plants don't judge. Plants don't demand explanations. Plants don't play games. A plant doesn't say one thing and do another. It simply exists, quietly becoming itself. For a tender nervous system, that can feel like relief. You know the person who walks into a gathering and immediately senses what's going on, even what isn't said. That person often has a green corner at home, a windowsill, a patio, a little sanctuary. Jung understood that sensitivity and emphasized the need for retreat and reflection, so a person doesn't lose themselves in everyone else's emotional weather. Plants offer exactly that. A refuge without drama, without pressure, without performance. And there's another piece. Caring for a plant can make you feel useful without draining you. You give, the plant responds. Simple as that. No hidden motives, no complicated expectations, no emotional debt. It's a clean exchange, steady, honest, quiet. So if you know someone who loves plants, there's a good chance they have a big heart and a sensitivity the world doesn't always know how to protect or value. Those plants may be the silent guardians of that tenderness. Plants also teach a lesson fast. Nothing grows overnight. Anyone who loves plants learns this in their bones. You can water, fertilize, talk to them. Yes, people really do. And still, growth comes in its own timing. Jung called one of the central processes of psychological growth individuation, the lifelong path of becoming who you truly are. And that path is slow. It's made of small daily shifts, invisible to other people, but profound inside you. Plant lovers understand this without needing a textbook. They know real growth happens underground first, where nobody can see it. First, the roots, then the stem. Then, with time and steady care, the flower. That understanding often shows up in how they live. They don't rush every stage. They don't trust shortcuts. They respect their own timing, and often respect other people's timing too. They tend to be the kind of person who doesn't punish you for saying, "I'm not ready yet." There's a patient warmth to them, an old soul steadiness, like they've accepted something many people fight against. Life is not a sprint. It's a walk. And a good walk is the one where you notice what's around you, feel the ground under your feet, and breathe. Plants are masters of that lesson, and anyone who lets themselves learn it often becomes lighter, steadier, and more connected to what's real. There's also something curious. Many people begin to love plants after a difficult period. A breakup, a loss, a lonely season, burnout, and then, almost without planning, they buy a plant, maybe from a grocery store display or a local nursery, and it becomes a form of support. From a Jungian lens, that isn't random. When the psyche is wounded, it seeks symbols of life and renewal. And a plant is exactly that. Life insisting on itself. Green hope. A quiet yes in the middle of a hard chapter. Caring for a plant when you're not okay is a way of telling yourself, I can still care for something. And that can be powerful when you've started believing you can't handle anything at all. Then the plant pushes out a new leaf, or a bud opens, and something in you thinks, I helped that happen. That tiny success can restart faith, slowly, gently. A plant won't solve your problems, but it can show you, with your own eyes, that after a dry season, life can return, and little by little, you begin to believe that can happen inside you too. And here's the beautiful part. Plants don't demand perfection. You can mess up the watering schedule. You can forget fertilizer. And the plant often gives you signals and another chance. Leaves droop, you adjust. Yellowing appears, you learn. It becomes a living reminder that restarting is always possible. Jung believed healing happens when we reconnect with symbols of life. Plants do that in the simplest, most accessible way. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to be an expert. You need soil, light, water, and a little attention. And somewhere in the middle of that, you start healing too. In the end, loving plants is loving life in its most honest form. No filters, no rushing, no pretending. It's accepting that not everything depends on your willpower. It's learning to loosen your grip and trust the process. Jung taught a beautiful idea. What you cultivate outside reflects what you're being asked to cultivate inside. So if you love plants, maybe your psyche is asking for more patience, more silence, more connection to what's essential. Plant lovers often carry a different kind of depth. They understand that life isn't only about having, it's about being. It's not about showing off, it's about rooting. It's not about instant results, it's about steady growth, even when no one sees it. And there's a calm in that. The calm of someone who knows it's okay not to rush. The calm of someone who understands every season has its beauty. The calm of someone who has learned that sometimes you have to prune to grow better. If you love plants, you may be walking a very old path. A path back to your own center. Jung would say you're moving through individuation, becoming who you always were underneath the noise. Maybe that's why it's strangely touching to see someone caring for their plants. In that simple gesture, we sense something almost sacred, one living thing quietly tending to another, with love. In the end, plants teach the most important lesson of all. Living isn't about arriving fast. It's about growing strong roots, blooming in the right season, and accepting that even in dry periods, life remains inside you, waiting for the next rain to begin again. That's the kind of wisdom we explore here on Quiet Psychology.